Dear Cancer, after everything you've been through, after the healing, the unraveling, the remembering, there's something you might still be afraid to say out loud. I want more, not because you're greedy, not because you're ungrateful, but because, finally, you know what you deserve. See, healing isn't just about surviving what hurt you. It's about allowing yourself to dream again, without guilt, without shame, without constantly looking over your shoulder, waiting for the past to knock you down again. You're not that version of yourself anymore. You don't need to prove your worth through self-sacrifice. You don't need to love people who only love your silence. You don't need to shrink to fit into places that never saw your light. You're allowed to want joy. Real joy. Not crumbs of it. Not borrowed joy from someone else's approval. Not fleeting highs that leave you emptier. You're allowed to build something beautiful. A life that feels like home in your body, your spirit, your heart. And no, it doesn't make you selfish. It makes you ready. Because wanting more doesn't mean what you had before was worthless. It just means you're no longer willing to settle for anything that doesn't match the love you've finally given yourself. So today's journey is not about going back. It's about stepping forward into the life you're ready to create. With open hands, open heart, and open eyes. You've healed. Now, it's time to live. The Page of Wands arrives like a whisper on the wind. Not loud, not demanding, but curious, hopeful, tentative. It's that feeling when you find yourself smiling at something simple again. When you catch your reflection in the mirror, and for the first time in a long time, you don't look away. The page doesn't come with certainty. It comes with possibility. And that's exactly what your spirit is craving right now. Not another test, not another lesson, just space. Room to explore something new, without fear of losing yourself in it. There may be a part of you that's still hesitant. You might be asking, can I trust this new spark inside me? What if I get hurt again? And that's okay. You're allowed to be cautious. But don't confuse caution with delay. Don't let the fear of the past rob you of the fire of the present. This page says, you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing to begin. In 5, that idea that's been tugging at your heart? That creative nudge you've been ignoring? That dream that seems too big for your current life? Maybe it's not too big. Maybe your life is just starting to grow enough to hold it. Let this be your gentle permission to try again. To create something just because it feels good. To say yes to something without knowing where it will lead. To trust the part of you that still believes in wonder. You've been through the fire. Now, you are the spark. You don't always need applause. You don't need someone to tell you you've done enough. You don't need the world to validate what your soul already knows. You are whole. The 9 of Pentacles is not loud. She doesn't scream her worth from the rooftops. She doesn't beg to be chosen. She simply stands rooted, radiant, in a garden she built with her own hands. And Cancer, this is the season you are stepping into now. A life no longer defined by the chaos around you, but by the peace you've cultivated within. This card speaks of independence, but not the kind that isolates you, the kind that grounds you, the kind that says, I am enough, even when I am alone. You're learning to savor your own company, to take pleasure in the little things, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the way your chest rises with breath, the quiet joy of knowing, I survived. And now I thrive. There's power in knowing you can stand on your own, not because you have to, but because you choose to. And here's the magic. When you stop needing others to complete you, you begin attracting those who complement you, not out of lack, but out of overflow. So take this moment to pause. Look around at all you've built, even if it's not perfect, even if you're not where you thought you'd be. There's beauty here. There's enoughness. There's you. Let this part of your journey be soft. Let it be quiet. Let it remind you, you were never too much. You were never not enough. You are just right. In your own skin, in your own time, in your own soul. There comes a time, Cancer, when your softness must be wrapped in steel. Not because you've grown cold, but because you've finally grown clear. The Queen of Swords is not bitter. She's not hardened by pain. She's simply done bleeding for things that never chose to stop hurting her. She has learned that love without boundaries is not love. That kindness without discernment is self-betrayal. That silence, when used to keep the peace, often becomes the loudest wound of all. You know this now. You, who once held in every word to avoid conflict. You, who forgave again and again, hoping they'd finally see your worth. You, who mistook self-abandonment for compassion. But no more. Now, your clarity is your crown. Your voice is your sword. Your truth is no longer negotiable. You're not here to explain your heart to those who only ever wanted to test it. You're not here to stay small, just to keep others comfortable. You're not here to carry conversations that cost you your peace. This queen teaches you that it's not cruel to walk away. It's sacred, because love, real love, is not afraid of boundaries. It doesn't wither when you say no. In Pesper, it doesn't punish you for needing space, or clarity, or time. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to choose quiet over chaos. You are allowed to say, I still love you, but I love myself more. And in doing so, you give others permission to rise, to meet you at your level, or to gently exit the space they no longer align with. So hold your head high, Queen. Your heart is still soft, but now it's guarded by truth. Not walls, but wisdom. You're not losing love. You're finding it finally in yourself. Dear Cancer, there are some chains you didn't even know you were wearing, until they began to feel too heavy to carry. The devil reversed doesn't come to shame you. It doesn't mock you for the times you stayed too long, gave too much, lost yourself in patterns that felt like love, but were really control, fear, or guilt dressed in affection. It comes to ask, are you ready to be free? And not just free in the way others can see, but free in the quiet places. Free from the fear that if you stop people-pleasing, they'll leave. Free from the lie that love means sacrificing your needs. Free from the comfort of the cage, because at least it was familiar. The devil reversed is the soft crack in the wall, the light beginning to peek through, the moment when you realize you are not bound by their expectations. You are not defined by that old version of you. You are not obligated to relive the same pain to prove you've grown. Yes, you've made choices from fear before. Yes, you've reached for things that numbed instead of healed. Yes, you've stayed small when you were aching to expand. But now, you know better. And more than that, you feel it in your bones. The desire to break cycles, to choose differently, to stop feeding the very stories that made you forget your power. Forgiveness doesn't mean you pretend it didn't happen. It means you stop letting it happen again. You are not your trauma. You are not your coping mechanisms. You are not your worst day replayed over and over in someone else's voice. You are free. You always were. The chains were never locked. They were familiar, but not final. And now, with one conscious breath, one honest choice, you can step out of them, not in anger, but in quiet liberation. Let that be your rebellion. Let that be your healing. And then, after the storm, after the silence, after the heavy letting go, there is a moment when you look up and see something glimmering faintly in the distance. Not a promise, not a guarantee, but a possibility. That is the star. It doesn't rush in with fireworks. It arrives gently, like the first breath after tears, like cool water against skin that's been burned. The star says, "You've lost much, yes, but not everything. Not yourself, not your light." And maybe, for the first time in a long while, you believe it. You begin to feel something shifting, not loudly, but surely. A tenderness in your chest, a thought that no longer aches, a dream you once buried, nudging its way back to the surface, not with urgency, but with grace. Hope, dear Cancer, is not naive. Hope is resilient. It has survived everything you've been through. It's the soft light that stayed with you, even in the rooms no one else could enter. Now it wants to grow. Now it wants to guide you, not back to who you were, but forward into someone even truer. The star reminds you, you are not broken. You are becoming. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering yourself beyond the pain. It means allowing beauty to grow in the places grief once lived. So let this be your baptism back into belief. Not belief in others. Not belief in outcomes. But belief in yourself. In your light. In your worth. In the knowing that your soul, no matter how tired, was always meant to rise. And tonight, it does. And now, after all the quiet inner healing, after the gentle rediscovery of hope, you stand at the edge of a new road. And this time, Cancer, you are not waiting for permission. You are moving. The Chariot is your card. It is your armor, your fuel, your declaration to the world. I am not my wounds. I am not what they did to me. I am what I choose next. End pen. But let's be clear. This isn't the kind of forward motion that ignores pain. This isn't blind ambition. It's anchored courage. Because now you move with intention. Now you know your worth. Now you've made peace with the past, but you refuse to build a home in it. The Chariot carries two energies, darkness and light, shadow and clarity, fear and faith. It doesn't ask you to choose between them. It asks you to balance them. Because your strength doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from owning every part of your story and choosing to lead with your heart anyway. You are no longer pulled by chaos. You are guided by vision. No more shrinking. No more circling the same old patterns. No more waiting for someone else to drive. This is your Chariot, your reins, your destination. And yes, it's scary. Yes, there are moments when you'll want to stop. But remember, every inch forward is a rebellion against everything that tried to break you. So don't just move. Move like you mean it. Move like your life depends on it, because, in a way, it does. And if you falter, if you fall, you rise again. Because that's what Cancers do. You don't just survive. You return. Stronger, wiser, and more you than ever. This is not the end of the road. It's the claiming of it. Cancer, what do you really want? Not what you've been taught to want. Not what they expect you to want. Not what feels safe, familiar, or easy. But what makes your chest ache with longing. What keeps you awake at night, not from worry, but from wonder. That's what the Lovers asks. Not who do you love, but how do you love? Why do you love? And are you loving in a way that honors your truther, your fear? The Lovers is not just about romance. It's about alignment. It's about choosing the life that reflects your soul, even if no one else understands it. Even if it means leaving behind something that once felt like everything. Love, for Cancer, has never been casual. You don't fall in love, you pour into it. You merge, you dream, you give all of you. But now, you're asked to pause. To ask yourself, am I choosing love that sees me? Or just love that needs me? There is a difference. And you feel it now, in your bones. The Lovers is sacred. It's not about fantasy. It's about radical honesty with yourself, with another, with life itself. It says, you are allowed to want more. You are allowed to want depth. You are allowed to wait for the kind of love that meets you fully. Because anything less than that will only ever echo your old wounds. You are not here to settle for chemistry without connection, for attraction without intention, for company that costs your peace. You are here to choose a love that doesn't dim your light, but stands in awe of it. You are here to choose a life that feels like home, not just a place to hide. And perhaps, before you choose anyone or anything else, you are here to choose yourself, to come back to your own heart and say, I see you, I choose you, I will never abandon you again. That's where real love begins. That's the doorway the lovers opens. And once you step through, Cancer, nothing half-hearted will ever feel like enough again. Dear Cancer, can you feel it? That subtle shift, that quiet knowing, that breath you just took in for the first time in a long time, it wasn't heavy. You've come full circle, and the world rises to meet you not as a finish line, but as a mirror, reflecting back everything you've become. You're not who you were at the beginning of this journey. You're not the version of yourself that begged to be chosen, that clung to old pain like it was identity, that shrank to stay safe. You have faced yourself. You have made hard choices. You have cried, screamed, stayed up in silence, and still you chose to keep moving. And now, this is the gift. Not perfection, not all the answers, but peace, inner peace, the kind that no one can take from you. The world is not just a reward, it's a reminder that nothing was wasted, not the heartbreak, not the waiting, not the nights you questioned your worth. Everything has brought you here, to this moment, to this version of you that knows how to trust, how to forgive, how to let go, how to live. And there's a quiet beauty in this realization. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. You don't need to chase love. You are love. You've become the very thing you were searching for. You've built a world inside you where your soul can rest, where your inner child feels safe, where your future self looks back and says, thank you for not giving up. The world isn't the end. It's the integration. The moment your past, present, and future hold hands and bless your next step. And what comes next, dear Cancer, is not just survival. It's embodiment. It's expansion. It's freedom. You are whole. You are ready. And now, as we reach the final few breaths of this journey, I want you to pause, not to rush, not to plan your next move, but simply to feel. Feel how far you've come. Feel the weight you no longer carry. Feel the way your chest softens when you realize you don't have to fight anymore. You faced the moon, surrendered to death, released the devil, found the star, claimed the chariot, chosen through the lovers, and arrived in the world. And now you rest in the sacred knowing, I made it through, and I did it with heart. That is the essence of Cancer. Not just the ability to feel, but the courage to stay with those feelings until they show you the truth, until they shape you into something radiant. You are not broken. You are reborn. And no, healing is not a straight line. You'll revisit old wounds. You'll question yourself again. But next time you'll meet those moments with grace. You'll remember this voice, this peace, this version of you that knows, I am not here to beg for love. I am love. I am not here to prove my worth. I am worthy. I am not what hurt me. I am what grew from it. So take a deep breath, place a hand over your heart, and whisper gently, without urgency, thank you for surviving, for trying again, for loving, even when it scared you. You are not the same person who began this video. You are softer, stronger, braver, and maybe, just maybe, you're a little more you than ever before. This isn't the end. This is the return to your center. The home inside you has always been waiting. Welcome back, dear Cancer. Welcome home.